how do you perceive what is happening within you during this period? I know there's a lot of, scientific ways to describe, the individual processes, but how do you
Yeah.
see it?
Well, I think, first of all, I mean, every time I fast, it's both a cumulative and an emergent experience. So the fact that I fasted as much as I have to date, I'm not going to have the same experience I had when I first started fasting, not at all. And I'm going to continue to deepen and have a different experience of fasting simply because I'm starting from a different, level of metabolic familiarity and strength to fast well and with ease. So the difference in a fast, I think the generic difference that's universal across all fasts is that your body goes through a period of transformation from the externally fed state to the internally fed state, and those phase changes will always occur. Even if you're, say, the term that everybody likes to equate with fasting is ketosis. Well, ketosis is not necessarily fasting. Your body is certainly metabolizing fats and creating ketones, but it's also different when you're in a fed state than when you're in the fasting state. So as your body, let's say your diet is not necessarily one to put you into ketosis at all, you'll have that sort of very visceral experience of transitioning into being on ketosis, which is very interesting because in many ways it's easily much less inflammatory. It's easily much less burdensome on the system. And it's also, you don't have the same sort of noise that you get from the peaks and valleys and roller coasters of a blood sugar experience, a high blood sugar experience. That really has a profound difference in divergence. And it's really hard to experience that until you actually get into the fasting state. You can compare the two. So every fasting state will have that sort of that phase change, that transformational stage where your metabolism is switching over. The other thing it'll have that's universal is the cessation of digestive processes, which is an internal quieting and a rest, a physiological rest that the body never otherwise experiences, except if you're sleeping on an empty stomach. It's somewhat to being like asleep while you're awake digestively. So that's powerful. And then if you have multi-state or multi-day fastings, you can transition into the third state, which is where your body gets into that sort of mind drop, beta hydroxybutyrate brain, where your brain is just absolutely clear of noise and it's just like it's all signal, and you have that very almost animalistic adaptive state to your environment, which is profound.
It is.
Yeah, that's what I love about fasting, is getting to that realm. We can talk about that in a variety of terms, but at the physical level, it's just sort of ultimate clarity, mental clarity and mental rest. You don't have a lot of hyperactive aerobic thinking. You're basically just absorbing and processing, the environment around you. And it's like bliss. So
beautifully said. And this has been the most astounding part of it for me, is access to that realm, to that state. I kind of describe it as a super state, to where, sensations are brighter and more vibrant. The mood is great. Energy is high. Mind is clear.
Absolutely. That's absolutely. You are basically revealing what our bodies are really programmed to be. It's kind of like we have Ferraris underneath these Hyundais that we're driving around, but the Ferraris have never been tuned. They've never been cared for. They've been left out in fields to rust, and so it's like any high performance, vehicle, you have to maintain it. And fasting is maintenance. Fasting is allowing the body to basically realign itself to its original blueprint and, flush out all the clogged filters, however you want to put it. The papillae in the tongue that allows us to taste turns over on average all the cells in 9 days. So a 9 to 10 day fast, you come out with a pristine tongue like a newborn.
Wow.
So your taste and your ability to recognize flavor profiles is off the charts. Whereas, the foods that we eat today are so filled with hyper, toxins and everything else, and excitotoxins, just to make us addicted to whatever it is that we're eating that's processed. Our tongues are just constantly being hammered on the anvil of commercialism. So it's remarkable we can taste anything. I mean, I remember I had a client who was on his 33-day, but had a 33-day fast, and he broke it. And he goes, Jesus Christ, I can't eat iceberg lettuce. Tastes like ice cream. It's so sweet. And that's literally the sensitivity of what we have been gifted with, that we are so far from experiencing these days, that fasting helps to reveal to us again.
Wow. Yeah, and it makes sense from an evolutionary perspective, where if there was no food present, we would need to sort of kick into a higher gear, not, dissolve into like a state of starvation and pain, which so many people sense from like acute hunger. They're like, ouch, I'm hungry, like for lunch. And they assume that that's just going to get worse and worse. But it really, it kicks into this new gear. We're like, all right, we got to kick things up a notch. Like there's no food present. And it's,
yeah. And that's even when we were in nature, where we had none of this stuff that we have today. So we were already hyper functional, back then. And so imagine, it's kind of like, having the Hubble telescope lens pulled off. Okay, super, super clear now. You're checking out animals 5 miles away. You can smell them downwind, things like that. Totally insane, but without a doubt.